Here are the top stories for today. At least 4 are reported dead after a magnitude 6.9 earthquake rocked Davao del Sur Sunday. The Department of National Defense, or DND, vows to whittle down the communist movement despite plans to revive peace talks. The family of a victim of a bombing in Borongan City, Eastern Samar, urges the government to put an end to communist insurgency. And Pampanga showcases its famous Christmas lanterns in this year's Giant Lantern Festival. Good day, I'm Rom Dulfo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Our top story: at least 4 people were killed in Davao del Sur following a magnitude 6.9 earthquake which struck the province and other areas in Mindanao on Sunday afternoon. 2 of the bodies are retrieved from the collapsed southern grocery store in Barangay Poblacion, with 1 yet to be recovered. The victims include a 6-year-old girl in Barangay Asinan in Matanao who was hit by falling debris. Fire Senior Superintendent Fred Trajera said there are at least 6 persons inside the collapsed grocery store based on the account of a survivor. In Digos City, several buildings that survived the earthquakes in October had either collapsed or been further damaged. Mayor Joseph Caga said they were also trying to assess the damage. In North Cotabato, work at the provincial capital is suspended to allow assessment of government buildings. All department heads are directed to assist in the evaluation of various offices and attend to the overall needs of the people. Meanwhile, local disaster units have created community-based frontline emergency responders in anticipation of future earthquakes and other disasters. Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles on Monday said while there were minimal casualties in the quake which jolted many parts of Mindanao, it is always better to be safe than sorry. He said each barangay nationwide should have well-trained emergency responders and all communities should be taught on how to properly respond during all types of disasters and emergencies. To date, Nograles said the national government has already mobilized all frontline disaster response and humanitarian assistance units to ensure that victims are immediately provided assistance. Villagers of Padada town in Davao del Sur who were affected by the 6.9 magnitude earthquake on Sunday will be given immediate assistance. Acting Mayor Sebastian Duterte of Davao City said he already discussed the deployment of rescuers with Central 911 Chief Emmanuel Haldon. Padada was badly hit by the strong tremor which struck at 2:11 p.m., which displaced hundreds of families and damaged hundreds of properties. Aside from sending rescuers, Duterte assured that cash assistance and relief goods will be given to the quake-affected families. He also urged the public to be compassionate with one another during a disaster to avoid loss of life. President Duterte and his family were in Davao City when the 6.9 magnitude earthquake struck Davao del Sur on Sunday afternoon. Presidential spokesperson Sal Panelo said the president was in his house in Davao City with his daughter Kitty when the earthquake struck, while First Lady Honolet Avancenia was on her way home when the ground rumbled and moved. President Duterte and his family were unhurt and their house is free from any damages. Panelo urged Davao del Sur residents to remain calm but stay vigilant in anticipation of aftershocks. He also appealed to the public to refrain from spreading disinformation that may cause undue alarm and panic among affected families. Still to come, the Department of National Defense, or DND, vows to whittle down the communist movement despite plans to revive peace talks. The family of a victim of a bombing in Eastern Samar urges the government to put an end to insurgency. More on these when we return.
Ito ang Duterte on Duty. Ulat sa ginagawa ng Presidente.
December 2, Lunes, Malacanang. Pinangunahan ni Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte ang Christmas tree lighting ceremony sa Kalayaan Grounds. Sinundan ito ng 44th Cabinet meeting na ginanap sa Aguinaldo State Dining Room. December 3, Martes, Malacanang. Pinanumpa ni Pangulong Duterte ang mga bagong talagang government officials at mga newly elected officers ng League of Municipalities of the Philippines. Naging makasaysayan naman ang pagpirma ng Pangulo sa Malasakit Center Act. Pinagpaliban din niya ang May 2020 Barangay at Sangguniang Kabataan Elections. December 4, Miyerkules, Malacanang. Tinanggap ng Pangulo ang credentials ng mga bagong talagang ambassadors mula sa China, Denmark, Hellenic Republic, Myanmar, Sri Lanka at South Africa. December 5, Huwebes, Legazpi City. Nagpunta si Pangulong Duterte sa Bicol upang alamin ang lawak ng pinsalang dulot ng bagyong Tisoy.
The government agencies knew what to do before the typhoon hit its landfall, what it did during the entire crisis and after. So, I am more than satisfied by the response. The question is, as always, if we have this kind of situation after you make the assessment, the evaluation is there, it's always money. Para tingnan ninyo yung report ninyo, then we will take over and I will advise you accordingly kung kailan dadating ang pera.
Misamis Oriental. Nagbigay pugay si Pangulong Duterte kay Police Master Sergeant Jason Magno, ang bayaning pulis na nagbuwis ng buhay upang protektahan ang mga estudyante sa pagsabog ng isang granada sa loob ng kanilang paaralan. Ako po si Secretary Martin Andanar at ito ang Duterte on Duty. Abangan sa susunod na linggo ang mga gagawin ng Pangulo.
Despite the announcement of plans to revive the peace talks with the communist rebels, the Department of National Defense, or DND, on Sunday said efforts to whittle down their armed members, either by combat or peaceful means, will continue. Defense Secretary Lorenzana said their efforts to bring the communist rebels down to reintegrate with mainstream society will continue, as well as their combat operations. He said there will be no let-up even during peace talks. The DND chief also called the NPA ambush in Libuton, Borongan City, Eastern Samar, as part of efforts of communist rebels to project strength. Meanwhile, AFP spokesperson Marine Brigadier General Edgar Arevalo said the atrocity committed by the NPA against the police and innocent individuals and civilians only reaffirmed their decision not to recommend the declaration of a unilateral ceasefire with the communist rebels this Yuletide season. Arevalo said the AFP commiserates with the victims and will do its utmost to help them find justice. Communications Secretary Martin Andanar has expressed confidence that President Duterte's administration will win the game in addressing the decades-long communist insurgency in the country. Andanar said that Duterte government has made significant strides since the signing of Executive Order 70, which institutionalizes the whole-of-nation approach to attain inclusive and sustainable peace nationwide. EO 70 creates a national task force to end local communist armed conflict and directs local peace bodies to hold negotiations with communist rebels in their respective areas. Andanar lauded the regional task force to end local communist armed conflict for their help in putting an end to communist insurgency in the country. He hopes that stakeholders would participate in the government's resolve to maintain peace and order all throughout the country. The anti-insurgency group continues to pursue efforts to accomplish target goals for this year while gearing up the implementation of more programs and projects for peace and development in 2020. Family members of one of the victims of the New People's Army's bomb attack in Borongan City, Eastern Samar last Friday are seeking for justice. 44-year-old Dario Rapada said the rebel group should stop conducting treacherous attacks that have killed and wounded civilians. The father of three is the husband of Mary Grace Rapada, who suffered head fractures in the explosion. She was confined at the Eastern Visayas Medical Center, EVRMC, in Tacloban City. PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar also denounced the attack of the NPA. The PCOO chief was saddened that the treacherous act came during the Yuletide season. Andanar nevertheless lauded those who showed selfless acts to help those who sustained injuries during the explosion. NPA rebels detonated an improvised explosive device along the primary highway in Libuton Village, Borongan City. Reports said a police officer and a 69-year-old woman were killed, while 5 other policemen and 12 civilians, including 3 minors, were hurt. The NDRRMC hailed the preparations made by concerned agencies before and during the onslaught of Typhoon Tisoy in eastern Visayas last week. Sol Alargon with this story.
The low casualty in Tisoy-stricken areas is an indicator of a high level of preparedness of all government agencies and local government units. This is the initial assessment of OCD Administrator and NDRRMC Executive Director Yusek Ricardo Halad when asked by PIA in a short interview after the RDRRMC meeting on Tuesday. According to Secretary Halad, Typhoon Tisoy can be compared to Typhoon Remeng and Glenda in terms of strength and path.
Yung low casualty is a reflection of the very good preparedness of the overall of the RDRRMC. So that means all the agencies concerned. And then of course yung indicated din dyan yung mabilis na action ng different agencies. So papasalamat tayo doon sa mga kasamahan natin dito sa RDRMC. So lahat nakikita natin yung mga uniform services, AFP, PNP, Philippine Coast Guard at saka Bureau of Fire talagang nagresponde. Hindi lang doon sa possible search, rescue, and retrieval, their response units were made on standby. Tumulong din sila sa pag-provide ng transportation during the preemptive evacuation. And some agencies even provided relief assistance there.
As of Tuesday, December 10, 5 people were confirmed dead and 415 sustained injuries in eastern Visayas when Typhoon Tisoy hit the region last week. Yusek Halad visited the region to get updates on the response efforts and interventions of RDRRMC and local government units concerned. For the PNA Newsroom, Sol Alarcon, Philippine Information Agency, Eastern Visayas.
Up next, concerned residents rescue a distressed Philippine eagle in Sarangani Bay, and Pampanga showcases its famous Christmas lanterns in this year's Giant Lantern Festival. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders. In other news, concerned residents rescued a distressed Philippine eagle in the waters of Sarangani Bay while reportedly flying back to the shores on Friday. The eagle was retrieved off the shores of Sitio Dampilan, Barangay Lumatil in Maasin town of Sarangani province. The residents said the eagle, which was said to reside in the forest of Mount Busa, could no longer fly back to the shore. The eagle will be kept and rehabilitated at the Philippine Eagle Foundation quarantine facility in Davao City. Meanwhile, a rescued green sea turtle was released off the coast of Manila Bay in Malolos City, Bulacan. The City Agriculture Office of Malolos said the sea turtle was rescued by the fishermen from a fish trap in the coastal barangay of Pamarawan. The Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources said the green sea turtle is an endangered animal species. It was believed to have wandered in the Bulacan coastline of Manila Bay in pursuit of fish to eat. The city government of Dumaguete has reported the steady increase in tourist arrivals for the last 3 years, which is attributed to sports tourism in the country. Mayor Felipe Antonio Remolio said tourist arrivals improved due to various sporting events hosted by Dumaguete City and the province of Negros Oriental. The sports tourism has not only put Dumaguete and Negros Oriental and the Philippines as a whole on the international map, but it generated revenues and created more jobs for Filipinos. In 2017 and 2018, Dumaguete City was cited as the Philippines' best sports tourism organizer and runner-up as the sports tourism destination of the country in 2017. In 2020, Dumaguete City and Negros Oriental will host the ASEAN Schools Games, which is expected to attract hundreds of outstanding student athletes from 11 member countries of Southeast Asia. The province of Pampanga held its annual Giant Lantern Festival as it welcomes the Christmas season. The festival was participated in by 12 villages in San Fernando City. Barangay Santa Lucia emerged as this year's champion, while Barangay Calulot was first runner-up, Barangay Del Pilar second runner-up, and Barangay Sindalan third runner-up. The Giant Lanterns will still be on display at the Robinson's Star Malls, Pampanga on December 21 and 26. They will also be put on exhibit in Barangay Telabastagan on December 22, Greenfield Subdivision in Barangay Sindalan on December 23, and at the Poblacion on December 24. The Giant Lantern Festival is one of the grandest events in the province during the Yuletide season and is well attended by foreign and local visitors. It earned for Pampanga the title Home of Giant Lanterns and the distinction as the Christmas capital of the Philippines. Take another look at today's biggest stories. At least 4 are reported dead after a magnitude 6.9 earthquake rocked Davao del Sur Sunday. The Department of National Defense, or DND, vows to whittle down the communist movement despite plans to revive peace talks. The family of a victim of a bombing in Borongan City, Eastern Samar, urges the government to put an end to communist insurgency. And Pampanga showcases its famous Christmas lanterns in this year's Giant Lantern Festival. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check more news content, check our webpage or head on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more news about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all our social media platforms and websites shown on your screens. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. Watch our Christmas special on December 24 and 25. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I am Rom Dulfo. Good day.